Hi, welcome to Devin Tries. I'm Devin. Today I'm going to try making a shakshuka. Shakshuka originated in Northwest Africa, but there are all sorts of these sort of vegetarian stews that exist all over the Middle East. The shakshuka Wikipedia is actually a pretty interesting little wormhole, and I'm an old man now, so I printed it out. Oh, and if you haven't seen it yet, you should definitely go watch the video of my cat unboxing a printer. That's how I have these printed pages today. Thanks, Ben. He's probably sleeping. But yeah, this is cool. Shakshuka is a word for mixture in Algerian Arabic and mixed in Tunisian Arabic. And then the English dictionary describes it as being of multiple origins. It's also known as onomatopoeic, which I thought was really interesting, related to the word shakshaka, meaning to bubble, to sizzle, to be mixed up, to be beaten together. So it sounds like shakshaka. It also sounds like the French word shakshuka, which was borrowed into English, and we get this whole mix up that gives us shakshuka. Say that 10 times fast. Shakshuka, shakshuka, shakshuka. I think what makes shakshuka so difficult for me to say as somebody who lives in Canada and speaks English, I can't think of any words that have sh and u together. Shoe. You know, we'll say shoe, we'll say you, but we'll rarely say shoe. Am I wrong? If you can think of English words that have the sounds shoe together, write them in the comments below because I'd love to be reminded of what those shoes were. Shoes. Words were. What are words? What are words? What are words? Shakshuka, that is the word that we're going with today. Sounds like you'd be like, shoo. I think this dish is gonna be the opposite though. I think it's gonna be really delicious smelling. Why am I making a shakshuka? Well, because I've never made it before and I want to try. Stick around to the end and see if I can pull it off and whether I like it or not. And see if there are any tips that I learn along the way. To make a shakshuka, traditionally what you're going to want is you're going to want an onion and red pepper. You're going to cook those down. You're going to add some garlic, obviously, and then tomatoes. So it makes this nice, soft, tomatoey stew. I'm gonna add spinach to this one. As you can tell, there's all sorts of variations and you can add a whole bunch of different things, but there'll be spinach and I'm gonna add some feta cheese as well. And of course, at the end, you crack in some eggs and you let those cook in the sauce. And there you have your shakshuka. And I have a delicious bread to get all roasty toasty and dip in it at the end. Shakshuka can be breakfast, it can be lunch, and it can be dinner. Really, anything can be breakfast, lunch, or dinner, but for some reason, eggs have this wrap, you know, where they got stuck. Eggs got stuck in that mold, and oh boy, despite the efforts of Big Egg, it's hard to sort of like escape that feeling of like, this is a breakfast food, or an ingredient in baking. I feel bad for you, eggs. I also have been pigeonholed. You're dominant at breakfast, but you just can't pull it for dinner. This is like a football player being really good in the CFL, and then in the NFL, they're like, not very good. Take that, CFL players. I love the CFL. Go BC Lions. Fresh spinach. You know it's fresh because it's in a bag. This bag says fresh so many times on it that you know it's overcompensating. It's like, hey, I know I'm gonna go absolutely rotten in this bag, so please, I swear to you, it's fresh. It's fresh in here, I swear. This bag would last one day in the fridge before it just turns into a big heaping compost mess. But the thing about spinach is you can use all of it and it looks like you've maybe used a tablespoon. Where does it go? Just for fun, let's count how many times it says fresh on here. Guaranteed fresh, fresh express, fresh express. Why we're so fresh? To guarantee Fresh Express salads are consistently deliciously fresh. Maintain freshness and deliver fresh salads daily. Fresh Promise Express. Fresh guaranteed. This is actually sillier than I thought. It says fresh so much. Fresh Promise Express, fresh guaranteed. At Fresh Express, we are passionate about delivering the freshest, highest quality salads. So we can guarantee the freshness of our salads every single day. And then in French, of course, Chez Fresh Express. Reseal for freshness. Fresh Express Incorporated. Fresh Express. Spinach 8-ounce fresh. Okay, we get it. It's fresh. And of course, spices, because this is a spicy dish. We're gonna use paprika, we're gonna use cumin. I might even throw a bit of cayenne in there, but let's spice this thing up. You can follow along at the recipe down below. Like and subscribe if you haven't already. It's helping me out big time. Let's cook a shakshuka. Okay, I'm gonna start by sharpening my knife because a sharp knife is a happy knife. No, I'm serious. If you want to have a good experience cooking, you should get yourself a sharp knife. Like one really good sharp knife and of course a honing steel, and then you're good. Everything's gonna be so much easier than struggling with these bad knives. This is how I cut up a red pepper. I actually learned this when I did food prep way back in the day, and I think this is a good way to cut up a red pepper, but I showed my friend this who's a chef and he didn't agree. So I don't know, you tell me. Is this a good way to process a red pepper? I think so, and it's the way I've always done it. Look at that red pepper, looking real nice. This is actually kind of like a Wes Anderson looking shot right now. I'm feeling pretty good about that. Only I don't think Wes Anderson would sort of struggle to get the peppers in the bowl. And of course, onion. You gotta cut up the onion. If you want to get good at cooking, you should learn a few other techniques. This is the technique for onion. This is sort of like the standard one. It's a little scary cutting towards you, but then you cut down these strips and then you hold on to that root at the end, and look at that. It just takes care of the whole thing. Nice and uniform cuts. And that's how you process an onion. Unico, crushed tomatoes, no salt added, made in Canada. Look at that, tomatoes, water, citric acid. Of course, citric acid just put in there to, make sure those tomatoes stay safe in there. Nobody wants botulism. So they do have a bit of an acid taste to them, of course, as they do. They are acidic tomatoes, and I gave it a little test here, and I was pleasantly surprised with the Unico crushed tomatoes. I have often splurged and spent a lot of money on those expensive Italian tomatoes, and these ones actually tasted delicious. On to the garlic. I'm zesting the garlic here with my plane. This is actually a woodworking device. I don't know how it ended up in the kitchen. And every time I use this thing, I nick my finger. How do you get down to the nub with the garlic? Look at these just ungrated little bits of garlic. I always catch my finger every single time. So if you have any tips, I have a tip. Put a Band-Aid on and make sure there's a little point so it looks like a rhinoceros going, ooh. Or, a shameful walk home where you've lost one of your boots. It's the next morning and you're singing to yourself, these boots are made for walking. I'm using paprika, cumin, and chili powder. I went with about a half a teaspoon of each one of these, but, as you'll find out later, spoiler alert, probably could have used a bit more of that. Love a nice olive oil pour. Not as satisfying as a buttermilk, but we'll take it. Extra virgin, just like me in high school. Onion time. Have a little oil bath. Have a little sauna. There goes the pepper. Look at this Wes Anderson shot. Circle on circle. I didn't even know I was doing this. I was just absolutely killing it with these nice aesthetic shots. Once that's cooked down for a little bit, let's add all this grated garlic with a little bit of blood in it. Just a little tiny bit. Nothing smells better than some garlic and onion cooking. I mean, it's the one smell that everyone's like, what are you cooking? It's onion and garlic. It's always the answer. It's onion and garlic. All right, in goes the spices. Look at that mix. Yummy. As soon as the spices hit, then it's like, oh, okay, this is a meal now. This is different than, say, a pasta sauce. It's got some kick to it. I'm gonna mix that all up, and in goes the crushed tomatoes. In hindsight, I do wish I had gone with whole tomatoes. I think it just would have been texturally a little more fun to have some whole tomatoes in there, not just this sort of what essentially is a puree. But it's what I had, it's what I bought, so in it goes, and of course some salt. I'm gonna use my finger that got cut, and of course a grain of salt went right into the cut. I had to take it all apart and clean that salt out. Talk about rubbing salt into the wound, am I right? Quite literally, it does hurt. Something happens in there with the salt. Peppered it up and gave it a few more little stirs. I'm getting used to tasting as I go, so I gave this a little slurp. Yummy, yeah, it's tasting pretty good, but could use some time. Many minutes later, it's starting to have a light little boil here, and I decided to start packing in the spinach. This is gonna seem ridiculous how much spinach I'm putting in there, but I guarantee it will disappear into nothing. So this is about a third of the bag of spinach, making sure to get every single leaf in there, and time to press it down. This could be satisfying. This could be an ASMR moment. I'm just gonna stop talking for a second here. Ooey gooey, look at that sauce. Oh, I think I should add a bit more spinach. Just pressing it in there. I mean, it's just gonna disappear. It truly is one of the greatest magic tricks of all time. You could go to Vegas, you could see some of these big names, or you could come to my kitchen, watch this YouTube video, and see me shrink spinach into nothing. Some fell off the side, I gave it a little slurp there. And here's the last bit of the spinach, just packing it in. You can't say this isn't a healthy meal. I would say this is very healthy with all that spinach in there, all the iron. You're getting the iron off the cast iron pan too? Is this too much iron? Oh yeah, pushing that around like a Zen garden. I love it. Okay, and it's time to make the little spots, the nests as I like to call them. So I decided to make 5 little nests. These are for the eggs, of course. And once those have been made, I started cracking eggs. Now, right away I realized, oh, those little nests should have been deeper because the eggs started, you know, leaking all over the place. However, they were doing a good job. I was cracking them nice until, yeah, this one. Broke the yolk. Oh, that's not Wes Anderson. That's not aesthetic at all. It's sort of ugly, but hey, that's life. Parsley time. Love chopping up a lot of parsley. Look at that, satisfying. And bread time. I always find it difficult to finish the cut on a slice of bread, but I didn't show you that struggle. I needed to move it along. This is a long video. Thank you for watching if you're still here. Feta time. I better check to see if this is feta cheese, and yeah, it's feta cheese. I love feta cheese. You know, I better taste it. Yeah, it's still feta cheese. And there we go. The eggs are all nice and roasty, toasty. Let's slow-mo crumble some feta on there. Oh, my mouth is watering watching this. I do the voiceover afterwards, obviously, and I'm really hungry right now. This is a terrible idea. Look at all that parsley going on there. Slow-mo makes things look more appetizing. So there you have it. That is a shakshuka, and it's looking heavenly. Full recipe in the video description. If you're wondering how I got this footage, I used a drone. A tiny little drone I held in my hand. Yeah, this is actually looking like a full meal. I was worried this might feel like just an appetizer or something like that, but it actually feels like a really robust, substantial meal. So let's tuck in. I brought a fork and a spoon. In the comments, tell me what utensil you would use to eat shakshuka. I'm gonna use a spoon and I'm gonna scoop it onto the bread and eat it that way. I don't know why I have a knife. It's basically slop. And I say that in an endearing, loving way. It is really good looking slop. Oh yeah. Oh, I overcooked the eggs. You know, I knew this was happening because I went to set up the shot for this final moment while I left it on the heat, and then I came back, I was like, dang, I overcooked the eggs, but oh well. Here we go, first bites. Bon appetit, kitty. I'm gonna need some water. It's good. It's really good. I was tasting it as I went, and when I just had the tomatoes and the onions and the garlic in there and then all the spices, that spice was really coming through. The first thing you would taste is sort of just the tomato. You're like, did I just make a pasta sauce? But then at the end, that spice, the paprika and the cumin and the cayenne would like hit you. Now I think with all the spinach and the cheese and the eggs and everything, I've really lost a lot of those spices. So if I were to do this again, I would definitely up the spice because I am gonna dilute it later with all these other ingredients. I'm gonna hit it with some salt and some pepper. The other thing I would do if I was making this again is I would actually put some salt and pepper on the eggs and maybe even some of those spices I was talking about just to bring it all together. Because right now the egg is just egg and then you really need it to mix with the sauce to bring it to life. Bread is not optional in this dish. I can't even imagine eating this without the bread. The bread just brings that crunch and that chewiness, and then you're really able to just slop it on the top. Also the parsley, you can go ham on the parsley. If you like cilantro, just load it up. For some reason, this dish really takes to just a ton of fresh greens. sprinkled all over the top. I'm not usually someone who would just want to like put a mountain of parsley on a meal, but for some reason in this case, it really works. Simmering the tomatoes with the onion and the garlic and all the spices and all that for over an hour, I think also really helped this. It just melded it together. It made that sauce really thick, which allowed the eggs to take to the top of it really easily. I know not everyone's gonna have that time, but like that is a nice move. If you just wanna set up the sauce and then go chill out, have a drink, do your thing, and then come back to it and just top it and serve it, that's probably gonna be your best shakshuka. There are all sorts of different types of shakshukas, as well as just vegetarian stews that you can do, including ones with, you know, leeks and potatoes and all these different flavors. I would love to try this again in a totally different style, maybe using yogurt and dill. Altogether, I'd give this an 8.5 out of 10, and that's only because of how I made it. I think this could be a 10 out of 10, no problem. If I had another shot at it. Oh yeah. Look at these videos, you should watch these videos. Look at this big circle with my face in it, holding a knife and scissors. That's pretty interesting. You probably wanna click that and see what that's all about. It's time to enjoy my meal. Bye.